Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. This is one of a series of podcasts where I am speaking to people who have done something very fantastic in their lives. They have followed maybe quite a traditional path to start off with in their careers, and then there's been a seminal moment, a certain point in their life where they have transformed their life to the service of others completely. And I'm very happy this morning to welcome KP to join us, and he's our special guest today. I'm going to introduce us both. So my name is Julie Jackson. I am co-founder of Reflexive Education, which is an educational platform with a variety of services for adults and for students. I'm also founder of Reflect Now, which is a Substack posting. On the Substack, there are lots of narratives which you can peruse and enjoy at your leisure, which is about social cohesion, as well as lots of podcasts, mini and full podcasts like this one today. They also have a YouTube channel, which I shall pop into the notes at the bottom of this podcast. So, more about KP, over to him. So, KP has had a very inspirational journey of personal and professional growth. He's worked in the software industry for over a decade, and he has a deep interest in human behaviour and mindset. And this is not the first time we've met, so I know this to be true in the conversations that we've had in the past. He has, over the years, helped many people overcome self-doubt, emotional pain, and limiting beliefs to become the best version of themselves. And I follow him on LinkedIn. I know there's lots of tips and tools that he gives people and shares with people on there that are very, very helpful and useful. So I recommend you check that out. And again, that link will be at the bottom of this podcast. He holds an MBA and a master's degree in English and is currently pursuing a PhD in spiritual psychology. So he's a very, very busy person, I know. As a mindset coach, NLP practitioner, and a best-selling author, he now supports individuals in transforming their lives with simple but powerful tools. And I know with all of these three parts of his life, he's been very committed, very dedicated, and very thorough in his approach as well. So I recommend you check any, if not all of them, out. He works mainly with working professionals, especially those in the IT and the BPO sectors. And because he's been part of that world himself, he deeply understands the stress, pressure, and challenges they often face. I know from personal experience that when you belong to a sector and you're able to relate and empathise with those people in that sector, it just has even more meaning and carries even more weight and value than it would usually. So it's a pleasure to welcome him this morning. This is our second attempt to do this podcast. And so this one I know will be amazing. So let's start with our questions. So really to remind everybody that it's not just about us talking to each other, which we'll enjoy, but it's also about the listeners, and that there will be more listeners in the past and the present and the future than there will be us. And we will be thinking about those people who will listen to this podcast all the way through this, because this is for them. This is our gift to them. How to help them with their lives, how to help with their future. And I'd like to call this podcast Moving Forwards, because I know in terms of things that we've spoken about, that's very important to you in terms of what you do as a life coach. And it's very important to me at this moment of transition from a life in Eastern Europe to coming back to the UK and traveling the world a little bit to do different things for several months. So moving forwards, moving on is very much in the forefront of my mind, as I know it is with your clients. So today, what would you like to share forwards, which is a slightly different thing? We're thinking about what would you like to share with other people, just like we'd like people to share this podcast with others, their friends, family, colleagues, anybody they think this would be helpful for. They can use a variety of ways, including a platform called Scale if they so wish. What would you like to share forwards with people today?
Oh, wow. First of all, namaste and greetings from India and to your audience. Uh, Coming to your question, Julie, if
Yeah,
I could share one thing forward, it would be this. Your mind is not your enemy, it's your greatest ally. Once you understand how to work with it. And there was a time in my life when everything seemed fine on the outside. I had a stable job, nice people around me, but inside I felt stuck. Overthinking, self-doubt, and emotional disconnection were silently running the show.
right.
That that's when my deeper inner journey began. First, through the spiritual wisdom that helped me reconnect with myself, and later through tools like NLP and mindset coaching that gave me practical ways to rewire my thoughts and emotions.
Mm,
Both played a crucial role, no doubt about it. While
mm,
spirituality gave me a foundation, NLP offered me structured tools and techniques and modalities to understand and shift the patterns of my mind.
mm,
Yeah. And many people live with silent struggles, painful memories, limiting beliefs, or lack of clarity. But
mm,
I would love to share that transformation is possible, not by
mm.
pushing harder, but by shifting from within.
That's interesting what you say about pushing harder, because often we think, and I've been guilty of it in my life, where you just think, if I just kind of focus on this and I just keep carrying on, I just keep pushing through, and if I put my kind of feelings aside or my thoughts aside, everything will be fine. And of course, that's a little bit like living in denial of them, isn't it, rather than facing them or working with them. And I'm sure there are lots of listeners that are doing that at this very moment. And what you're saying really resonates with them in terms of almost their public persona, what privately is going on for them.
Absolutely, so true. And you know what? Through my coaching work, I have witnessed how even a small mental shift can unlock new level of confidence, clarity, and emotional resilience.
Mm,
And you are not broken. You may simply be operating with outdated mental patterns, and with the right tools, techniques, those patterns can be changed. And I
mm.
truly believe in sharing forward the hope that no matter where you are in your life, you can rewrite your story and walk into more powerful version of yourself.
And that is really a real hope, isn't it? And it's something really beautiful and bright and optimistic for people who might feel stuck or might have several barriers or things in their life that have happened that kind of almost emphasize and consolidate that stuckness, you know? So it's that kind of, you're almost talking like freeing them from that so they can move forwards in their life.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Lovely. That's an amazing thing to share. That's an amazing thing to feel in a sense. Because sometimes when we're in that place, our mind's telling us the opposite. You know, we can't move, and this is how it's going to be
Yes.
forever. How do you share mindset coaching as a useful tool for people? You've talked a lot about shifting your mindset and how powerful that can be. And again, that's a very invigorating thought that's kind of our doorway to having a new life or a different life.
I usually keep it simple. I explain to my clients that mindset coaching is like updating the software of your mind. Just like your phones need regular updates to work better.
Mm,
Our thoughts and beliefs also need fresh inputs when they start holding us back. Yeah.
mm,
I help people see that many of their challenges, like low confidence, anxiety, procrastination, or past hurtful memories, are not who they are, but patterns they have picked up along the way.
mm,
Correct? With the right questions, tools, and techniques, especially from NLP, we can identify those blocks and
mm.
rewire them into more supportive patterns. And I often share real life examples or guide short exercises that help my people feel the shift. And once they experience the clarity or the calm, even for a few minutes, they understand how powerful this work can be.
That's quite a big change, isn't it? That people, you know, they can often find their old patterns quite comforting, and then new patterns are quite feel quite risky or feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable because there is that difference. But as you say, it's seeing the wonderful and positive impact it has on your life that I guess helps you move forward. Would that be how it is for your
Absolutely.
clients?
Yeah, because they are not their thoughts. They are the one observing those thoughts. Yeah.
Mm,
So for me, it's not about convincing. It's about helping people experience even a small inner change. That's when they start to believe in the process. Yeah.
mm, mm, mm. And it's that belief that can help increase their confidence as well, and that realization, and almost the realization of awareness within themselves. I mean, it must be such a rewarding thing that you experience with your clients. It must be such an amazing part of to be part of their lives in that way. It must be a
That is
beautiful
something
thing.
which pushes me, Julie. I mean, when they start getting the solution in their life, they come back to me and say that, Vinayak, okay, these things really help me. So that is something which is motivating me to help other people. That itself is like stimulating factor for me.
Yeah, yeah, I can tell. Can tell by your expression and by the way you speak about it. So back to you a little bit more. So how have you transformed your own life, and how do you think that will help others in the life that they're living right now?
That's a really good question, and honestly, a bit of a personal one too. But I'm happy
Mm.
to share because I believe our stories can truly help others.
Mm.
My own journey of change began during a really difficult time. In 2007, I lost my job that I thought would lead to a promotion. It
Wow.
happened during the US recession and it shook me deeply. I I blamed myself. I thought maybe I wasn't good enough or I did not have what it took. And that self doubt stayed with me for years.
Wow. Okay.
Later, I also went through a very painful breakup. It was it was not just about a relationship ending. It felt like my whole world was falling apart. I was
Mm.
emotionally drained and confused about
Mm.
who I was and what I wanted from my life.
Mm.
And it was during that phase that I discovered something even harder. When you are going through pain, people generally offer you advice, solutions, or distractions,
Mm.
but
Mhm.
very few truly listen.
Mm.
I didn't, I did not need answers. I just needed presence, a space to be heard without judgment. But
Mm.
instead, I found myself surrounded by noise and yet
Mm.
deeply alone.
Mm.
Then something shifted. I came across the Brahma Kumaris, a spiritual path that gave me hope when I had almost none. And that's when I began my real inner journey. I started
Mm.
to understand my mind, reconnect with myself, and slowly find a new kind of strength and direction. And that experience became a turning point in my life. It is
Mm.
what led me into mindset coaching because I wanted to help others who might feel like I once did, stuck,
Mm.
lost, or broken.
Mm. Mm.
So it is the same me, okay? Probably a better version of Vinayak now, who is
Mm.
supporting people in changing their thinking, healing emotional pain, and helping them to become a version of themselves they never thought possible.
Mm.
So
Mm.
So when I work with people, I don't just speak from theory. I speak from
Mm.
real life.
Mm.
If I can move from feeling hopeless to finding purpose, then others can too. And I'm here to
Mm.
support them on their journey.
That's a really strong message, isn't it? Because you've actually, what they used to say is walked the walk. You've actually gone through it yourself and helped yourself through that process and then picked up these tools and ideas which you're now willing to share with others so that they can have that, for want of a word, turnaround in their life. And
Yeah.
thank you for sharing aspects of that with us and with our audience today. I believe, like you said, when we share things with others, it really does help empower them
Yeah.
because often culturally we don't tend to open up so much. And we think with social media that people are living, perfect lives often. And even through films, even through things we see with TV shows,
Yeah, why
there's
not?
kind
Why
of,
not?
yeah, there's that kind of perfection, or it seems ultimate disaster, maybe. But, it's one or the other. And there's often the normality is missing. And I think what you've brought to us today is a window into what many people can relate to, but also many people can take inspiration from. Because I think, again, when you're often in those places, like you say, of losing your job, I remember when I was made redundant during COVID, and that was devastating to me. I'd been headhunted by an organisation in London. I'd been working in London for the first time in my life. Everything was exciting. Everything was good. Then COVID came, and I lost all of that. And the whole, it wasn't
Oh,
just me; it was my whole team. The whole
I
team was
understand.
disbanded. And then you're kind of left with, a couple of months of work and nothing. And during a
Mm,
time when no, everyone was uncertain about what the future was, so it was the worst possible time.
I
So I can
understand.
relate to that aspect with yourself, and I'm sure other people can as well. Many of us have been through things similar in ways, but many people don't speak about those things. And sometimes, like you say, people don't ask as well and show that genuine interest where we sit back almost and just listen. And
Yeah.
it's almost called like a holding space where we hold space with that person. We don't rush in. And I think in the past I've been guilty of that, rushing and give the solution because you want someone to feel better. So you're rushing to give them all the answers, solutions.
Yeah.
And one of my friends said once to me, she said, I don't want that. I just want you to listen. And that's what you've just said today. And that is so important. It's nice to hear with your life coaching, your way of being is you allow for that space, which is a really important space to hold.
Thank you.
So moving, yeah, I really think it is, especially in such a fast-pacing world.
Yeah.
And on to the next question. So, for those who've never heard of it, what is NLP and how does the language we use shape our thoughts, emotions, and actions? If you can tell us a little bit more about that, that'll be great.
Sure. NLP stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. So it's a method that helps us understand how our mind works, especially how our thoughts, language, and behaviors are all connected. In simple words, NLP shows us the way we speak to ourselves and to others has a big impact on how we feel and act. For
Mm,
example, if someone keeps saying, I can't do this, their mind starts to believe the same and they lose confidence. But if they start
mm,
saying, I am still learning and I'll find a way, it opens up new possibilities. So
mm,
NLP helps people break unhelpful patterns, change negative self-talk, and build a mindset that supports growth and peace. It's like learning the language of your own brain. Yeah.
mm,
And once you understand that, you can change the way you respond to any
mm.
situation for that matter, even to challenges, and start creating better outcomes in their life.
And the very word that you used, growth, was the one I was thinking of when you were speaking. It's about that growth and having that sort of bravery to move forwards.
Yeah,
Do you find in your experience with the clients that you've had, it takes a different amount of time for some people
yeah,
than others? I'm just guessing that potentially if you've had a very negative mindset, I'm no good at this, and that's been gone on for a long time, is quite entrenched, that's going to be harder almost to weed out, to remove, to change. And I guess it depends on your personality type as well. If you're quite stubborn,
absolutely.
then maybe all of these different variables come to play. I don't know. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, see, each individual is different. See, I
Mm,
cannot help someone who is not prepared to change. They
mm,
know that they are struggling, either from
mm,
stress or anxiety or the past traumas. But if they are
mm,
not ready to work on them, I just can't
mm,
help them. See, we can't force them to work on themselves. They
mm,
know that they are facing this challenge, but they have to open up. Unless and
mm,
until someone opens up, we can't help them. So it
mm,
is their responsibility to take first step towards changing themselves. It is not
mm,
their responsibility to change themselves, but at least they have to reach out to someone.
mm,
If
mm,
not to a mentor or a coach, at least to their family members, to their colleagues, to their friends. They have to reach out, right? Help
mm,
is there, but
mm,
you have to reach out. And I have
mm,
seen many of
mm,
my clients who are kind of stubborn, and there are many of the clients who really trust the process. They open up and they end up getting
mm.
breakthroughs. You won't
Yeah.
believe many of my clients have got the breakthroughs in just second or third session itself.
Wow.
So that
Mm,
that is something which really makes me feel really proud about the process
mm,
and make me feel good.
mm, mm. Well, that must be a lovely, very kind of immediate
Yeah,
result for both people, really, and a lovely experience to share and
yeah,
something they can sustain as well, they can carry on with. And I guess you have a relationship with them where you can check in with them or they can come back to you as well. So they know there's that support there
Yeah,
too. So I think as adults, we often find that harder than when we're children. We kind of absorb more things, and as adults, we feel a little bit more nervous about that whole experience.
yeah. That's right. I agree.
On to our next question. So many people learn techniques but struggle to use them. How do you guide your clients to put these tools into action? So I guess we can be willing and say we want to do something. I guess in my life, I can't think of an example, but I'm sure I've done this where I go, yeah, I'd love to do that. And then when it comes to it, to make that jump or to make that step has almost been, I don't think I can, or, the self doubt, or I don't do it, or, anxiety or fear or whatever might get in the way. So I guess, how do you overcome that with people? How do you get them to actually move forward in action?
Yeah, that's a very real challenge. Learning something
Mm,
is one thing, and
mm,
using it in real life is another.
mm,
So I make sure my clients don't just know the tools, but they feel how to use them. I,
wow.
I do these things by keeping things simple and practical. I explain techniques step by step using real life examples from their own
Mm,
experiences, like
mm,
how to calm their mind before a stressful meeting, or how to
mm,
change negative self-talk during a tough moment. And we
mm.
also practice together during our sessions. I guide them through the process so they can experience the shift, not just hear about it.
Wow. So it's that experiential, that feeling of it that makes it so powerful.
Absolutely. Once
Mm,
once once they experience, they start believing in the process, and they move
mm,
ahead. Yeah.
mm,
And
mm,
after that, I give them simple tasks or an exercises or reflections that they can use in their daily life, like a reminder phrase or a breathing pattern or a mindset reset tool. And
mm,
the idea is simple. Small
mm,
steps done
mm,
very often bring big
mm,
results. So this is something
mm,
which is quite basic, and I stick to it. And I also
mm,
check in with them on a regular basis. And
mm,
that extra support and follow up really
mm,
helps people to stay on track. So they are
mm,
never doing it all alone. They are growing with the guidance.
mm. I'm sure to our listeners that sounds manageable and achievable, which is really important. And it's taking it at their pace, but also ensuring from your perspective that it is going forwards, there are steps going forwards. And then cumulatively, all of those steps result in quite a transformation, quite a shift in their lives, has a really big impact. Um, so I can just imagine what that's like. I think I'm quite envious of your work. It's amazing to take part in that change for somebody, and for them to leave, as you say, a better and potentially, I'd imagine, a healthier life often as well.
Yeah.
And my next question is about you and what your plans are. So, is there a new project you're working on that reflects your personal growth or mission? And what does this new project mean to you? Because I often find people in this field of service to others and having made a big shift in their own lives, there's always something that's in their mind for the next thing they're going to do. So, what is it for you?
Uh, yes, there is, and it's something that has taken a bit of courage. I'm working on my next book. Uh,
Yay!
and it's very personal and courageous project for me. It's about a dozen of limiting beliefs that many of us carry in our lives, often without even realizing how much they hold us back. Beliefs like I'm not good enough, or nothing will ever work, or nothing will ever change. Through this book, I'm not just sharing information or giving tools, I'm also adding a short practice or a reflection at the end of each chapter. So the reader doesn't just read the book, they pause, think, reflect, and apply it in their own life. And what makes this project even more challenging is that I'm doing it while managing many other responsibilities. I create and shoot videos for my YouTube channel, post daily content for my social media community. I support my clients through one on one coaching sessions, and also run regular online community marathons. All of this happens alongside caring for my parents, sometimes helping my mom in the kitchen and offering a supportive shoulder to my dad, who has faced several health challenges and is also a cancer survivor.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so it's not always easy, but
Mm,
I truly believe when something truly matters to you, you find a way to make space for it. So
mm,
writing this book in the middle of all these things takes extra courage, time, and heart. But
mm,
I'm doing it because I know it will help people, especially
mm,
those who feel stuck, unheard, or tired of just receiving advice. This book is
mm,
my way of giving real support, just like I once needed in my own life.
mm. I love the fact that your take on things is this simple approach that is easy to understand, but more importantly, easy to apply in everyday life, from what you've said.
Yeah,
And I think that will appeal to a lot of our listeners that is possible, because sometimes we can be put off things by thinking, oh, I just can't get my head around it, I don't quite understand it. But when you have something that's real in terms of the experience that's shared, but also real in terms of the simplicity of what can be applied in what is for very many people a busy life, like you said, even for yourself, you can appreciate that. And myself, having been a parental carer, I know how much time and energy that takes up. And then when you're trying to do other things, work, and then you're doing studying and then writing a book, it takes up all your time really in the end.
absolutely.
So it's nice to have and know there's support there to help people navigate their life in a better way and to help them have a better life in the way that they think and approach it well with their mindset. Thank you for sharing that. I look forward to the book. Keep me
Yep.
posted.
Yeah. Sure, I will.
um, on to our next question. So, based on your life experience, what has emerged for you that gave you this path in life? Because often there's one thing or there's a couple of things, and it's interesting for our listeners to know who might be thinking of doing something that's quite different to what they're doing at the moment, but haven't quite made that change or don't feel that bravery or haven't them to self doubt. But it's possible.
Yeah. See, Julie, all the tough times I shared earlier, like losing my job, going through a breakup, and feeling completely lost, they forced me to look deeper within myself. But what
Mm,
really came out of those hard moments was a strong sense of purpose. I realized I was not meant to just survive, I was meant to learn, I was meant to heal, and then use that experience to help others. So,
mm,
the path I'm on today did not come from a place of achievement or through a perfect plan. No,
mm,
it came from pain, it came from reflection, it came from a strong desire to make meaning out of it. And
mm,
that's what shaped this journey of mine.
mm, mm.
So I can relate all those things, all the challenges in my life. So they have played a very crucial role in what am I today.
And that takes a certain amount of resilience, doesn't it, to go through that? Because sometimes people, as you said, can feel broken or lost or hopeless as well and quite isolated if you're the only one experiencing those things. But it's good for our listeners to know that I remember a friend of mine saying once, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a real kind of growth and development that can happen with the right mindset and the right tools. And that a change in your life is possible and a change for the better for you, but also something you can share with others, whatever that might be for
Absolutely.
you being a life coach. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So we've come to the end of our little podcast today. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank
It's
you.
been really enjoyable and I feel so peaceful as well. It's just been such a nice
Same here, same here.
experience.
You are such a lovely host.
Oh, thank you. And I love some of your key messages. And my tradition is at the end is to sort of summarize the key takeaway points for our listeners and from what I've personally learned as well. And then I can open it up if you'd like to have a final comment too, but there's no
Sure.
obligation. It's up to you, whatever you feel kind of moves you in this moment. So just to remind everybody that to share this forward with others, with anybody they can think of they think could benefit from it. And I'm sure there are lots of people that would for lots of different reasons, families, friends, etc. There are lots of ways to do that. Um, so as I said, I love that feeling of peace that it's brought to me today in what didn't start off as two peaceful morning. So it has brought me that peace and that sense of feeling grounded, really, that there's a confident way of going forwards in life. And you have shared with us some ways of doing that. You know, the mindset is very important. Our approach to life is very important. And you have many tools. You've mentioned breathing, for example, and others that help us embrace that within ourselves. And that there's hope that we can all have a better life using very simple tools that you can share with people through your books. I'll say plural. No, it's not quite finished yet, but it will be.
Yep.
And through your teaching as well, and through what you've shared with us today. And I like the fact that there are approaches that can be simple and applied to our lives, not just things we read and go, oh, I'll do that later, or okay, I don't quite get that, so I'll forget about it. There are actually things we can take action on.
Yeah.
And then through that action, we can see how our lives get better and change. And I think that's an amazing message to give so many people who, as you said, will have hidden struggles and will have faced challenges in their lives in a very fast paced world where it will be important for them to realize that making space and finding that person who will listen to them and hold that space with them is something that's invaluable. You know, it has so much value. You can't
Thank
put a
you.
price on it. Yeah. So
Thank
thank you
you.
for reminding us of that, but also showing the possibility and truth in that as well. Such a
Thank
powerful
you.
message for today for our listeners
Thank
and
you.
for myself. Couldn't come at a better time for me. So thank you.
Thank you.
Is
Thank
there
you.
something that you would like to share with our listeners yourself?
Yeah, if I could leave one thought, it would be this. No matter where you are right now, change is always possible. Your story is not over yet. You don't have to be perfect to start. You just have to be willing. Take one step, then another, and trust that the support will meet you on the way.
Mm.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And I really hope our listeners take that on board. And I really hope this is life changing in that sense for people who are stuck or in a not such a good place at the moment, or just want to change but haven't had that bravery and self belief to be able to do that. So we will share with them our links so they can get in touch with you, get in touch with me, follow you, follow me
Absolutely.
in different
Absolutely.
ways. So that will be a wonderful experience for them and lovely for us to share. And as I say, thank you very much for your time today. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.